November 13th, 1957. NBC Studios, Studio 8H, New York City. Frank Sinatra is sitting under hot studio lights. Live television. Millions watching. He's here to promote his new album, Come Fly With Me. Simple interview, easy publicity, in and out in 20 minutes. The host, a young guy named Tom Barrett, smiles at the camera. We're thrilled to have Mr. Frank Sinatra with us tonight. Sinatra nods, adjusts his tie. He's done 1,000 of these. Routine. Barrett starts soft. Frank, the new album is incredible. What inspired it? Travel, freedom, the idea that you can go anywhere, be anyone. Speaking of freedom, you've certainly lived an interesting life. Sinatra's smile tightens, just slightly. Yeah, I've had my moments. Barrett leans forward. Here it comes. And speaking of moments, there's been a lot of talk about your personal life lately. Sinatra's jaw clenches. Has there? Well, yes. The public's fascinated. Your relationship with Ava Gardner, for instance. That's private. Barrett doesn't stop. But Frank, you're one of the biggest stars in the world. People want to know. Is it true that Ava left you because... He doesn't finish. Sinatra grabs the crystal tumbler from the table in front of him. Iced water, heavy glass, and without hesitation, he hurls it across the studio. It flies past Barrett's head, crashes into the camera lens behind him. Glass explodes, water sprays everywhere. The cameraman jumps back. The lens cracks. Dead silence. Then chaos. The director screams from the booth. Cut! Cut the feed! Engineers scramble. The live broadcast goes black. 30 seconds of dead air. Millions of viewers staring at blank screens. Barrett's frozen. Face pale. He didn't expect that. Nobody did. Sinatra stands up, rips off his microphone, throws it on the floor. You want to talk about my private life? Call Ava yourself. He walks off set. Security doesn't stop him. Producers don't chase him. Because when Frank Sinatra loses it, you get out of the way. Backstage, Sinatra's manager, Hank Sanicola, is waiting. Frank, what the hell was that? He crossed a line. He asked a question. That's his job. His job is to talk about my music, not my marriage. Your marriage is front-page news every week. You can't throw glasses at every reporter who mentions it. Sinatra lights a cigarette, hands shaking. Not from fear, from rage. Watch me. Hank grabs his arm. You just threw a glass on live television. Do you understand what that means? NBC's going to sue. Sponsors are going to pull out. This is a disaster. Sinatra pulls free. I don't care. You should care. This isn't Vegas. This isn't some nightclub where you can do whatever you want. This is national TV. Millions of people just watched you lose control. Sinatra takes a long drag, exhales. Good. Maybe now they'll stop asking about Ava. But he's wrong. Because what just happened? It's about to make everything worse. 30 minutes later, NBC's legal team is in emergency. Session. Conference room. 6th floor. Phones ringing non-stop. The network president, Robert Sarnoff, sits at the head of the table. How bad is it? His VP of programming slides a stack of papers across. Switchboards flooded. 5,000 calls in the last 20 minutes. Half demanding we ban Sinatra, half defending him. What about sponsors? Chesterfield's pulling their ads. So is Ford. They don't want to be associated with violence on air. Sarnoff rubs his temples. That's 200,000 in revenue. Gone. The legal counsel jumps in. We could sue. Destruction of property. Breach of contract. The camera alone is $15,000. And what does that get us? Headlines saying we're going after Sinatra? That makes US the villain. So, what do we do? Sarnoff stands, looks out the window at Manhattan. We spin it, make it look like a misunderstanding. Technical difficulties. The feed cut because of equipment failure, not because Frank threw a glass. But thousands of people saw it before we cut. Then we deny it, or we minimize it. Say the glass slipped. Say it was an accident. His VP shakes his head. Nobody's going to believe that. They don't have to believe it. They just have to have doubt. And doubt is enough. Meanwhile, downstairs in the studio, Tom Barrett's getting stitches. A shard of glass caught his ear. Not deep, but enough to bleed. A nurse dabs the wound. You're lucky. 2 inches to the left and you'd be blind. Barrett doesn't respond. He's staring at the wall, replaying the moment, the look in Sinatra's eyes. Not anger, something colder, more controlled, like he wanted to throw that glass, like he'd been waiting for an excuse. The studio director walks in. Tom, we need to talk. About what? About what you're going to say. I'm going to say Frank Sinatra threw a glass at me on live TV. The director sits. No, you're not. Excuse me? NBC's calling it a technical malfunction, equipment failure. You slipped. The glass fell. Barrett stands. That's a lie. That's the official story. I'm not lying for Sinatra. The director leans forward. You're not lying for Sinatra. You're lying for NBC and for your career. Because if you go public with what really happened, Sinatra's lawyers will bury you. They'll say you provoked him, that you asked inappropriate questions, that you caused the incident. I asked about his marriage. That's not inappropriate. To Frank Sinatra it is, and he's got 50 lawyers who'll make you look like the bad guy. Barrett sits back down. So that's it. He gets away with it. He's Frank Sinatra. He always gets away with it. The director stands, walks to the door, stops. One more thing. If you ever mention Ava Gardner's name around him again, you won't just lose your job, you'll lose your teeth. He leaves. Barrett sits alone in the medical room, blood on his collar, truth buried under corporate spin. And somewhere in Manhattan, Frank Sinatra's smoking a cigarette in the back of a limousine heading to his next appearance, like nothing happened. But the truth has a way of leaking. Always does. 2 days later, the New York Post runs a headline. Sinatra's temper shatters NBC broadcast. Anonymous source, studio insider, someone who was there, someone who talked. The story goes national. Every paper picks it up. Sinatra throws glass at reporter. Photos of the cracked camera lens. Quotes from crew members. NBC's official denial buried on page 3. Frank's at the Copacabana in Manhattan when he sees it. He's mid-lunch with his manager. Steak, rare. He sets down his fork, picks up the paper, reads. Hank watches him. Frank, don't... Too late. Sinatra crumples the paper, throws it across the restaurant. Who talked? Does it matter? Yeah, it matters, because I'm going to find out. And when I do... Frank, stop. You're making it worse. Sinatra leans forward, voice low, dangerous. Making it worse? They're calling me unstable, violent, a thug, because I wouldn't let some two-bit reporter drag Ava's name through the mud. You threw a glass at his head, on live TV. What did you think would happen? I thought NBC would handle it. They tried. But you can't cover up something 5 million people saw. Sinatra stands. Then I'll handle it myself. That night, Sinatra does an interview with Ed Sullivan. Different network, different host. But same game. Damage control. Sullivan's smart, starts gentle. Frank, there's been some talk about the NBC incident. Talk. Yeah, lots of talk. Do you want to set the record straight? Sinatra looks directly at the camera. Sure, here's the record. I don't answer questions about my personal life. Period. You want to talk about my music? Great. You want to talk about Ava? We're done. Sullivan shifts. But Frank, the public's interested. They care about you. No, they're nosy. There's a difference. And I don't owe anyone an explanation about my marriage. Ava and I? That's between us, not America. So you're saying the reporter crossed a line? I'm saying he asked the wrong question, and I reacted. Maybe too strongly, but I reacted. Sullivan pauses. Do you regret it? Sinatra takes a breath. I regret that it happened on live TV, but I don't regret defending my privacy. The interview airs, and public opinion splits. Half the country thinks Sinatra's a hothead who can't control his temper. The other half thinks he's a man protecting his dignity. But there's one person who's not split. One person watching from Los Angeles, in a quiet apartment, alone. Ava Gardner. She sees the interview, sees Frank defending her honor, protecting her name. And for the first time in months, she picks up the phone, calls his hotel. The Waldorf Astoria, Manhattan. The operator connects her. Ring, ring. Frank answers. Yeah? It's me. Silence. Then, Ava. I saw the interview. And? You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. She's quiet for a moment. Frank, we're over. You know, that. I know. So why are you still fighting for me? His voice cracks, just barely. Because I'll always fight for you, even when you don't want me to. She hangs up. Doesn't say goodbye, just hangs up. And Frank? He sits there holding the phone, listening to the dial tone, knowing he just destroyed his career for a woman who doesn't love him anymore. But here's what nobody understood. The real reason Sinatra lost it that night wasn't just about the question. It was about timing. 3 weeks before the NBC interview, Ava Gardner filed for divorce, October 1957. After 6 years of marriage, on again, off again, fights, reconciliations, breakups, but this time, it was final. The papers were served to Sinatra at the Sands in Las Vegas. He was on stage, middle of I've Got You Under My Skin. A process server walked into the Copa room, handed him the envelope in front of 400 people. Sinatra stopped singing, opened it, read, then finished the song like nothing happened. But backstage, Dean Martin found him, sitting alone, staring at the wall. Frank, you okay? Sinatra didn't look up. She's really done this time. You don't know that. She filed for divorce, Dean. That's pretty clear. Dean sat next to him. So what are you going to do? What can I do? She doesn't want me. She made that obvious. Then let her go. Sinatra's voice cracked. I can't. Why not? Because I still love her, and I don't know how to stop. That's the context nobody had when Sinatra threw that glass. He wasn't just protecting Ava's name. He was protecting the last piece of her he had left, the memory, the myth, the idea that maybe, somehow, if he defended her honor enough, she'd come back. But she wasn't coming back. She made that clear on the phone. 2 days after the Ed Sullivan interview, Sinatra gets a letter from Ava's lawyer, not Ava, her lawyer. Mr. Sinatra, my client requests that you cease all public statements regarding her or your marriage. Any further comments will be considered harassment. Harassment. That's the word that breaks him. He crumples the letter, throws it across the room, pours himself a Jack Daniels, straight, no ice, drinks it in one gulp. His manager walks in. Frank, Capitol Records is on the phone. They want to know if you're still doing the session tomorrow. What session? The new album. Only the Lonely. You've been planning it for months. Sinatra looks at the bottle. Cancel it. Cancel it. Frank, you've got orchestra booked, musicians waiting, studio time paid for. I said cancel it. Why? Sinatra finally looks at him, eyes red. Because I can't sing love songs right now, Hank. I just can't. But Hank doesn't cancel it. Instead, he makes a call to Nelson Riddle, the arranger, the genius behind Sinatra's sound. Nelson, we've got a problem. What kind of problem? Frank's a mess. Ava's lawyer sent a letter. He wants to cancel the session. Nelson's quiet for a moment. Don't cancel. Change it. Change what? The Songs. Make them sadder, darker. Let him sing what he's feeling, not what we planned. And that's exactly what happens. November 1957, Capitol Studios, Hollywood. Frank Sinatra walks in, broken, defeated, and records the most heartbreaking album of his career. Only the Lonely. Every song about loss, loneliness, heartbreak. And when he sings One for My Baby, his voice cracks on the line, "We're drinking, my friend, to the end of a brief episode." The orchestra stops. Nelson looks at Frank through the glass. Frank's crying, actually crying, in the studio. But he doesn't stop. He finishes the song, through tears, through pain. And when it's over, nobody speaks, because they all just witness something rare. Frank Sinatra, completely vulnerable, completely broken, and somehow it's the most beautiful thing he's ever recorded. Only the Lonely releases in 1958. It becomes Sinatra's biggest album, critically, commercially, emotionally. Every song a masterpiece of pain. Every note soaked in heartbreak. Critics call it his best work. Fans buy it by the millions. And Ava Gardner, she hears it. In Spain, where she's living now, away from Hollywood, away from Frank. A friend plays it for her. One for My Baby comes on. Ava listens, doesn't speak, just listens. When it's over, her friend asks, "Do you miss him?" Ava looks out the window. Every day. But missing someone doesn't mean you should be with them. Back in America, Tom Barrett, the reporter from NBC, gives an interview. Small publication. Nobody reads it. But he tells the truth. Frank Sinatra threw a glass at me. NBC covered it up, and I let them. Because I was scared. Scared of lawsuits. Scared of losing my job. But mostly scared of him. The reporter asks, "Do you regret not speaking up?" Barrett nods. Every day. Because silence doesn't protect you. It just makes you complicit. The interview gets buried. Lost in the noise. But the truth is out there now. Somewhere. Years later, 1974, Sinatra's asked about the NBC incident in a magazine profile. He's older now. Softer. The rage has cooled. "Do you remember throwing a glass at a reporter?" Sinatra pauses. "Yeah, I remember." "Do you regret it?" "I regret a lot of things. That's one of them." "Why did you do it?" Sinatra takes a sip of Jack Daniels. "Because I was broken. And when you're broken, you break things. That's just how it works." "And Ava?" He smiles. Sad smile. "Ava was the love of my life. And losing her almost killed me. That album, Only the Lonely, that was my suicide note. Except I survived." "Do you still love her?" Sinatra looks away. "I'll always love her. But love doesn't fix everything. Sometimes it just makes the hurt last longer." November 13th, 1957. The night Frank Sinatra threw a glass on live television. It wasn't about the reporter. It wasn't about NBC. It was about a man who lost everything and didn't know how to process the pain. So he threw a glass and sang the blues, and somehow, through all the chaos, created art that would outlive them all. Because that's what broken people do. They destroy, they create, and sometimes they do both at the same time.